Hello, welcome to episode 2.
Here's our blanket, excellent.
An asymmetrical twin. Dropping and sinking up.
Notice how
So just notice. Joining us for the second episode of next week. Namaste. Hello and welcome to episode 43 of Namaste Yoga. I think August it's all Nika and Melissa. Today we're finishing up our 10-part series, yay, actually 11 with today's class on the Yamas and the Niyamas as compiled by Patanjali in the Yoga Sutras, and these are the prescriptive guidelines for living by. And so today we're going to do an overview class, and I was going to just thank Ninka for coming from yogabliss.me to come and do this class with us today. And Ninka is going to be graciously doing next week's class as well while I'm away in Vermont. We just recorded that one prior to recording this one. So go ahead and rest back in Shavasana. And we're going to start with a review of the Yamas and the Niyamas. And today I'm reading from Nichala Joy Devi's The Secret Power of Yoga, a guide to the heart and spirit of the Yoga Sutras. And we're going to read directly from her translation, the translation without the explanation and dialoguing around it, as a way to return to the Yamas and the Niyamas as a whole, and to review them again. So starting with with book 2, verse 30, Yamas, which Nichala Joy Devi translates as reflection of our true nature, is experienced through Ahimsa, reverence, love, compassion for all, Satya, truthfulness and integrity, Asteya, generosity and honesty, Brahmacharya, balance and moderation of the vital life force, and Aparigraha, awareness of abundance and fulfillment. These great truths are universal and inherent to all beings. If altered or ignored, the quality of life is greatly compromised. Niyamas, the evolution toward harmony, encompasses Saucha, simplicity, purity, and refinement. Santosha, contentment, being at peace with oneself and others. Tapas, igniting the purifying flame. Svadhyaya, sacred study of the divine through scripture, nature, and introspection. And finally, Ishvara Pranidhana, wholehearted dedication to the divine. Now I'll read the verses from each sutra for each yama and the niyama. Embracing reverence and love for all, Ahimsa, we experience oneness. Dedicated to truth and integrity, Satya, our thoughts, words and actions gain the power to manifest. Abiding in generosity and honesty, Asteya, material and spiritual prosperity is bestowed. Dedicated to living a balanced and moderate life, Brahmacharya, the scope of one's life force becomes boundless. Acknowledging abundance, Aparigraha, we recognize the blessings in everything and gain insights into the purpose of our worldly existence. Through simplicity and continual refinement, Saucha, the body, thoughts, and emotions become clear reflections of the self within. Saucha reveals our joyful nature, and the yearning for knowing the self blossoms. When at peace and content with oneself and others, Santosha, supreme joy is celebrated. Living life with zeal and sincerity, the purifying flame is ignited, tapas, revealing the inner light. Sacred study of the divine through scripture, nature, and introspection, Svadhyaya, guides us to the Supreme Self. Through wholehearted dedication, Ishvara Pranidhana, we become intoxicated with the divine. So these are the Yamas and the Niyamas that we will be reviewing today. And my goal for us today is to really integrate them into our bodies by working with postures that correspond to the Yamas and the Niyamas as a way of going back and reviewing. So just take a moment to reflect on how you would like to work with the Yamas and the Niyamas in class today. What intention would you like to set so that this practice would best serve you in your life right now? And as I've mentioned before, intention can also come in the form of a dedication. And so I would like to dedicate this class to my teacher, Karen Haskarl, who's having some really serious health challenges right now. And so today I dedicate my teaching to her and her teaching and to her recovery. So when you feel settled in your intention or dedication, begin to wiggle and stretch. And I'm going to have you, this class will seem maybe a little strange from an asana perspective. I'll be the first to admit, there's not good flow in terms of sequencing asana to asana, just because I wanted to go through the yamas and the niyamas sequentially. So there's where our sequencing is being dictated by. So it might feel a little bit more up and down and back and forth than usual. But I think it'll allow us to review the yamas and the niyamas nicely. So I'm going to have you start in child's pose. And we start with Ahimsa. And I think with Ahimsa, it's this idea of non-violence, of having loving kindness and compassion, experiencing that for ourselves so that we can go out into the world and behave in a way that is loving and kind and compassionate. So I wanted to, in child's pose, first bring loving kindness towards ourselves. Because if we can feel and treat ourselves with loving kindness, then it becomes very easy to move out into the world in a very loving and kind way. So as you're resting in child's pose, simply repeat to yourself, may I be free from inner and outer harm. May I be happy and peaceful. May I be healthy and strong. And may I look after myself joyfully. May I be free from inner and outer harm. May I be happy and peaceful. May I be healthy and strong. May I look after myself joyfully. And from child's pose, I want you to come through into a cobra. So come down onto your belly, and on your belly really root the pubic bone and sink the sit bones down to behind the knees so that the low back is nice and long, rolling the shoulders back and up, and inhaling and lifting and opening your heart to the world. And here we say, may all beings everywhere be free from inner and outer harm. May all beings everywhere be happy and peaceful. May all beings everywhere be healthy and strong. May all beings everywhere look after themselves joyfully. And then slowly lower down and come back and cocoon into yourself, into child's pose. Okay, so from here I'm going to have you come up, and we're going to actually work with the throat chakra a little bit, the opening up the back so that we can open to our truth, and then we'll open up the front so that we can move out into the world from our truth, speak our truth, and live in truth. So we're going to start with shoulder stand. So I'll have you from seated probably, and shoulder stand probably only if you've done it before and you've worked on it with a teacher. If not, then what would you use as a modification for shoulder stand?
Legs up the wall.
Legs up the wall would be better, or legs up the tree, or if you just put a block underneath your pelvis and have your legs in the air too, that would be a better modification. So if you've done shoulder stand before, then you can roll back and roll the legs up. Good. And this is one of our postures for Satya, truthfulness. So we're opening up the back of the neck, stretching the back of the neck. How are you on the ground here? Because it's uneven. It's okay?
Yep.
Good. So breathing and holding. Okay, and then you can slowly lower yourself down. And from here, we'll open up the front of the neck with fish pose. So placing the hands underneath the buttocks, pressing into the elbows, lifting the heart and resting on the top of the head. And particularly pay attention to these opening at the front of the neck here. Okay, and then slowly lowering down and drawing the knees into the chest. And then you can start to make your way up to standing. So we're going to come all the way up to standing. And we're going to move on to Asteya. So Asteya has to do with being generous and honest. And so I thought that if we abide in generosity and honesty, I thought we would work with tree pose to begin. So choose which foot you want to stand on. You have to get creative about where you're going to stand on the ground when it's uneven. And take the opposite foot. The toes can turn out and the heel can go against the lower leg, or you can bring it up to the inside of the calf or all the way up to the inside of the thigh. And starting with the hands at the heart, you can bring the hands overhead. And as we hold this pose, tree pose for Asteya, reflect on the generosity of the trees, the way they give fruit, also the way they give us oxygen to breathe. And then we'll release that down, and we'll do that on the other side. So standing on the other foot, opposite toes turn out. Bring the foot up to the inside of the calf or the inside of the thigh. And hands start at the heart. And they move overhead. And then slowly release that down. And then the other thing that I wanted to do for that Asteya to embody that generosity is to do breath of joy. So we'll inhale, the hands come to the front, inhale out to the side, inhale overhead, and big exhale. Good. And slowly up. Great. Okay, so we'll move on to the next yama. And yamas have to do with the way we interact with other people. So the next yama is Brahmacharya, and this is this idea. It's really about appropriate use of sexual energy, which can be expanded to mean appropriate use of energy, more broadly speaking. And so it has to do with taking the middle path and living in a way that's moderate and balanced. And so we're going to find moderation and balance in the body by doing some twists to create equal balance from side to side. So coming onto all fours, let's just actually feel the center of the body first with cat pose, exhaling and rounding, and inhaling and extending. Good, and then we'll do thread the needle. So let's take the right arm up, inhale, open it out to the side, and exhale, bring the right arm through, resting the right shoulder and the right side of the head heavy onto the ground. Connecting both shins and tops of the feet to the ground at the back. And you can continually think about rotating that rib cage around as well. Nice. You can take your arm back too. So you do it up. I like the bent one. I like the bent one that you're doing now better, just because see the shoulder relaxes more there. Coming out of that side, and let's go to the other side. So inhaling, opening the left side, and exhaling, Bringing the left arm through, resting the left shoulder, left side of the head on the ground, rotating the ribs around. Okay, and then gently untwisting, and we'll make our way down to lying on our backs, and we're going to do one more twist. This one I know is crocodile twist, but you know the Sanskrit name sometimes better than me. Ninka, do you know? Nope, okay. What do you call this one? The one-legged twist? Yeah, Matsyendrasana, yes. Oh, Supta Matsyendrasana, okay. So right leg is bent. You're going to press into that right foot, lift the pelvis, tuck the left side of the pelvis under, and cross the right leg over to the left side of the body. That makes sense. Supta Matsyendrasana. And then gently untwist and just pick up the hips and bring them back center. And we'll slide the right leg out and just lie in the center for a moment and notice how one side feels when you bring that opening to the one side versus how the other feels. And then what we'll do is bring the two sides into balance. So bending the left leg in, pressing into the left foot, tucking the right hip under, crossing the left leg over the right. Great, and then coming back and out, and we'll come to lying on our backs for the final yama, Aparigraha, which gets translated as non-hoarding. And this can be a challenging one in our culture, in our consumer culture, we're really encouraged to accumulate things. So we worked with it by practicing elimination in the body, encouraging elimination in the body, and then hoping that process of letting go translates into our lives. So let's do that classic digestion pose, Apanasana, knee to chest. But you call this one something else. Ardha Pavana Muktasana. Wind relieving pose, yeah. Ardha Vana Pavana Muktasana. So long. You call both knees to chest Apanasana? And then releasing that right side, and let's draw the left leg in. So Asteya, which we did standing with tree pose and breath of joy, often gets translated as non-stealing. Niyamas Joy Devi tends to translate the sutras rather than in the negative. She translates them in the positive. She has this great faith in the human race as being good at the core, and so she always looks at things from just cultivating the good that we already are rather than eliminating the negative. And as you do this, really focusing in on the exhalation. Okay, from here we're going to be coming up to seated, so you can just take your hand behind the knee and rock yourself up. We're going to come to a seated position to begin the Niyamas, the personal practices, and we begin with Saucha, cleanliness. And so I think it's so interesting in doing this series of Yamas and Niyamas in terms of teaching them to you. Of course, as teachers, we go through and are taught all over again ourselves, right? So this one, I remember when I came to this one, I felt really pulled in and compelled by it, and so over this one I did a cleanse, and Ninka's currently doing a juicing cleanse. You look like you need some more juice right now. So I thought we would do the cleansing breath, Kapalabhati. So that is the active exhalation and the passive inhalation. If you want to just put your hands on your belly to connect with the belly, you breathe out and you really draw the belly back. And then you relax the belly. You relax the belly and it comes back in. So we'll start this slowly, and then we'll pick it up. It tends to be easier the slower you go. So big inhale. Full inhale, full exhale. Breathe in part way. Hold. Exhaling when the need is great if you haven't already. And remember you saying about doing these outside, there's just so much more oxygen outside, especially being right under a tree. You really can go for so much longer without taking a breath outside. So, take a chance to try this breath outside. It's a great one to do outside. And the thing that I found when practicing Saucha and doing that cleanse is that it freed up all this space that normally would have been spent, internally detoxifying the food that I took in or digesting it. And it made all this other space available to be able to practice Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, Aparigraha, Ishvara Pranidhana, Svadhyaya. All these things just are so much easier to open to the more clean your vessel is. So I highly recommend that. So let's move on to Santosha, contentment. So being happy with where you are and what you have in life. So for that one, we're going to practice Yoga Mudra pose, the ultimate surrender of bowing the head below the heart and trusting in the process of life, letting go of egoic control. So take your hands and place them underneath your shoulders. You're going to rest the top of your head on the ground. And then take the arms behind you and open up the shoulders. Oh, this is tricky on this root on my head. So slowly lowering the arms and coming back and out. Okay. And maybe just doing a few neck rolls as you come out of that. Okay, so from here we're going to come to a seated position, and we're going to do some forward folds. And I chose the forward folds because they too are also letting go of control and being present and patient with where we are and not striving. I find that challenging. Do you? A little. Ninka is much, this one is your baby, Santosha. She's all over this one. So Ninka is baby Santosha. She is miscontent, so happy. Isn't life wonderful? I'm so happy. And she does it honestly, I swear to God. And then I'm the little fireball of the Tapas. That's the one that's easy for me. So we're going to practice being content and grateful for where we are by doing Upavista Konasana to start. So take the leg side, hands come behind you, just to lengthen the hip it forward, and then we'll here. So we're sitting this way for Santosha, contentment. So not striving to rest our torsos on the ground, but being happy with where we are, content with what we can do. Then bring the legs in, and let's bend the left leg, keep the right leg long. Inhale here, exhale, we'll fold forward over that right leg. And the crickets are singing their song of contentment as we do this. Such a archetypal sound for a summer afternoon, right? Cross the right leg over the left, cross the left leg over the right leg, wrap the right arm around the left and turn toward it for a twist. And then come back over that right leg, cross the left leg all the way over it. Breathing in and hinge forward. And so here we are met with resistance in the physical body, and that resistance is can be related to resistances that we meet in life. And if we can meet them with Santosha, with contentment, with grace, with ease, and letting go into it, rather than striving for something different, then it makes things a lot easier. Okay, so hinging back up. Let's take the legs wide again, Upavista Konasana again. And just feel the difference between the right and the left leg now. And then we'll bring both legs in again, this time bending the right leg, left leg extends straight and long in front of you. Inhaling here, exhaling, hinging forward from the hips. Feeling the difference between the two sides without wanting it to be different. And coming up, bringing that right leg in, crossing it over the body, wrap the left arm around the right leg, lifting the spine nice and tall. And then coming back center and crossing that right leg all the way over the left. Inhale, lengthen the spine nice and tall. Exhaling, hinging from the hips. Again, not striving, not rounding the back in an effort to go further. Being content with where you are. And inhaling up, let's take the legs wide. One more time, Upavista Konasana, pulling forward here. And inhaling and coming up to a position. We're going to do Tapas now, which Nicchala Joy Devi translates as igniting internal flame, that zeal and zest for life. And it's often translated as disciplined action to create change and transformation, and hence the fire element with it. So we're going to do the Kriya for the third chakra, and I feel like you were here for this. Did you do the Tapas class? Yeah, so you know this one. We're going to this Kriya for the third chakra, and I'm going to ask Tim to keep track of time for us. Okay, so we're going to, this one starts, you may remember it, we did a few weeks ago when we did tapas with the backs of the palms together, and we'll hold that for 1.5 minutes. And then we do breath of fire. It's supposed to be for 4.5 minutes. We'll do it for 1. And breath of fire in Kundalini yoga is active exhalation and active inhalation while really drawing the belly back. So we'll do that for 1 minute and then we'll rest down. The second one is right palm up, left palm down, and we'll pump the arms. And we'll do this one for 1 minute. Tapas, see? Ninka's already like planning a bathroom trip here. Child's pose, yeah. Is it Shavasana yet? See the diff? So after the arms are out, pumping right hand up, left hand down, then they come into Namaste. You inhale as slowly as you can, hold the breath for as long as you can comfortably, and exhale as slowly as you can. And then I'll guide you through. There'll be inhaling, breath retention, exhaling, inhaling, breath retention, exhaling. And I'll talk you through that whole thing, and I'll ask you to keep track of time for us when I need that. So let's start with the backs of the hands together. We're going to hold this for 1.5 minutes before we go to Kapalabhati. Using the back muscles to keep the arms up, shoulders pulled back, chest broad and wide, back is long, tailbone rooting. And then inhaling a deep breath, breath of fire for 1 minute. Big inhale. Exhale, relax the arms down. Maybe just do a couple of shoulder rolls there. So the next one, you take the arms out to the side. The right palm is up, the left palm is down. We're going to pump the arms up and down about 4 inches for 1 minute with breath of fire for 1 minute. Inhale, reach out. Exhale, hands come to namaste. You're going to inhale as slowly as you can. Holding the breath for as long as you can. Exhaling as slowly as you can. Now inhale, press the palms together. Exhale strongly. Inhale. Press the palms together. Last one, inhale, press, okay, so breathing in and out normally, and then we're going to work with Svadhyaya, study by and of oneself, and so I thought we would work with the mudra for the inner self for this one. So if you want to just bring the thumbs together so that they're like little railroad tracks beside each other, and then there'll also be that space between the thumbs, and then you bend the tops of the knuckles here so the fingertips come together. Perfect. So it looks like this, and then you bring this up to the level of the eyes, and what we'll do is we'll stare through it until you start blinking, and then when the blinking starts you'll lower it down, and it's said that it lowers to the level of the soul. So let's start so that you're looking through that space, trying not to blink. And then slowly lowering it down to a comfortable position below your chin. So through this mudra, we come to know ourselves better through introspection. And I always say, for me, this is the reason why I practice yoga, is for self-awareness. And it really fits into this niyama of Svadhyaya. And then slowly releasing the hands, and we come to the final niyama, Ishvara Pranidhana. And this is like the pinnacle of the niyamas, just like Ahimsa is the pinnacle of the yamas. This idea of dwelling with the divine is the most important niyama. And so to do this one, we're going to chant the Gayatri mantra again. So let's go through it again. I'll put it in the show notes again so that you have the words again. And you can print them off for yourself and work with us. So first we'll do the, just saying the words, we'll break it down into pieces. How much time do we have left here? 5 minutes, okay. So Om Bhur, and you can repeat after me. Bhuva Swaha. Tat Savitur Vareniyam. Bhargo Devasya De Mahe Yo Na Prachodaya. So let's do the whole line now. Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha. Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha. Tat Savitur Vareniyam. Tat Savitur Vareniyam. Bhargo Devasya De Mahe. Yo Na Prachodaya. Okay. So we pronounce them a little different. Yeah.
You don't pronounce the D,
No.
Just like the
So there's lots of different recordings and probably a better way to pronounce but we'll go with what we've got for today. I learned mine from following the one that Spring does. It's on an album called Gratitude. So let's all chant it and you can chant it back. Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha. Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha. Tat Savitur Vareniyam. Vareniyam. Bhargo Devasya De Mahe. Yo Na Prachodaya. Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha. Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha. Tat Savitur Vareniyam. Bhargo Devasya De Mahe. Yo Na Prachodaya. Awesome. So I'm going to encourage you to download that. I downloaded mine through iTunes, and you can work with that and chant with that in your own time. So thank you so much for joining us for episode 43 of Namaste Yoga, and thanks again to Ninka, who's in desperate need of another juice. She looks like she's about to pass out here. That's the one thing, when you cleanse, you need to replenish your fuel often. So thank you, Ninka, from yogabliss.me, and you'll enjoy Ninka's class on the chakras while I am away in Vermont at Phoenix Rising Yoga Therapy. Have a wonderful week. I will see you in 2 weeks. Namaste.